welcome back to the next episode of the Prosperous Feminine. I took a couple-week hiatus. I needed to get some things in order. My taxes were complex. Can we just take a breath about taxes? Right? It's a lot. And what I want to talk to you about today is the complexity of money blocks, and that we do a lot of work on money. And sometimes what we need to work on is visibility. That visibility and putting ourselves out there with our sacred soul work becomes the block that creates the money block. So to just put this in context, those of us who are over 50, we grew up in a time, and you heard me talk about this before, when our mothers would have been persecuted if they did anything other than live in a white picket fence, stay quiet, and have kids. They had goals and dreams and aspirations, and some of them followed those yearnings. Some of them just had those yearnings, but didn't feel like they had the permission to follow them. And some of them just stayed quiet. And so we grew up in a time where we didn't see a lot of role models of women being really successful financially. And there's still a lot of edges in our culture about that, and the assumptions and the judgments of women being too big for their britches, or leaving family members or people behind, or out earning people who have bigger egos and don't think we should be doing that because we're women, right? And that it's not safe to go public. It's not safe to be in the world sharing our gifts and our medicine. And we're getting locked into the past. And as women over 50, we've been pinged, we've been called, we've been implicated, and we've been downloaded with an extraordinarily unique body of work, our sacred work, our soul work, whatever you want to call it, that this world is begging for and calling for. We've arrived at a time when we are matriarchs in training. We're not crones. We haven't gotten to the crone stage yet. And a lot of people haven't talked about how we don't go from wife, mother, career person and jump straight to crone anymore. We live longer. There's this gap of years in there that I believe are matriarch years. Those are our years of high contribution, of being on a path of service, of being able to have the right and the bandwidth to fulfill our potential. Do you realize how privileged we are that we get to sit in a self-actualization, soul actualization conversation about who do I most want to be? Who do I most want to serve? That, I travel a lot and go to Africa and spend time in these communities where it's about building a fire. It's about grazing the cattle and the sheep and making sure they all come home safely, about just subsistence living, meaning hand to mouth every single hour of every single day. It's just basic survival. And listen, a lot of those people are very happy in those communities. And here we are with those are not our daily concern. Survival's not our daily concern. So we've earned the right to fulfill our potential, that we have the privilege, I should say. We have the benefit of looking at ourselves and being self-reflective. So I think we owe the world this idea of taking ourselves seriously. If you're walking around and you're working with me, or you've worked with me, or you're in the world and you're saying, I have something important that needs to be said and it needs to be heard, and I need to know it got heard, you're one of the women that I'm talking to. That your money blocks are creating visibility blocks, and your visibility blocks are creating money blocks. They're one and the same. And this is a little bit more of a complex conversation, but I want to unpack it for you. Because being stuck in the past is not allowing us to address a visibility block, but it's crucial to overcome so that we can get to the freedom lifestyle and the lifelong income that we yearn for. And one of the places we got to start, and you've heard me say this, and I'm going to say it again and again and again until I see all of you doing it, is that you get to own your expertise. That yes, you in fact have an expertise. And if you're a corporate woman and you're trying to start your own business, that corporate journey has developed an expertise in you. My corporate journey developed the ability to generate income no matter what was happening with the economy, what was happening in the world, or who or what I was representing, including myself. It's a skill I'll rely on for the rest of my life. If you knew what I knew about owning your expertise, you would stop wasting time doing and dabbling, sitting in your insular bubble in your office, trying to perfect your message, perfect your offer, trying to push it out into the world and holding back because you don't think it's good enough. And then you hit that resistance wall of, oh, people are going to judge me. They're going to comment. There's internet trolls. Yeah, a lot of that's true. But if you're serious about that, you have a sacred body of work, soul work, and you know it needs to be heard, then it's time to own that expertise and get vocal. The only way you're going to develop self-trust is by acting out of self-trust. You can't sit in your office and have, okay, I feel good and it's all dialed in and now I trust it and I'm going to go forward. Your self-trust is always going to make you question everything. The only way you develop self-trust is by acting like you have it. You've heard the fake it till you make it. But the other thing I want to say, and I kind of want to get in your face about this, if you actually are sitting on a sacred body of work and you haven't acted on it and you're not putting it out into the world and you're not sharing it with others in a way where they can find you, are you really taking yourself seriously? Because there comes a point when you have to choose that body of work being in the world is more important than indulging the fear that's stopping you from talking about it. Are you hearing me? Good. So what are you going to do about it? Because it's time that you took yourself seriously, that you turned your expertise into a methodology that's marketable and put it out into the world so you can start securing clients and get on with it already. The second thing is you got to show up authentically. We got to break free from this pressure to conform to stereotypes or societal expectation about women of our age. Why? Because talking about it, we become authentic, and that's magnetic. And that's what people want. You want to stand out on social media, and are you running a narrative about being on social media? I'm not going to get heard. No one's going to find me. No one's going to see it. It's not going to matter. I run that. It's like walking through peanut butter for me every day to record a podcast and know it's going to get posted across all social media. I have so much resistance and blocks to it because as a kid, I was never raised on that's what we're supposed to do. But it's where our people are, and I'm willing to commit to being of service to my people. This is what it takes. And so I have to be authentic that this isn't the easiest thing to do. And in talking about that, more and more and more people are hiring me because I'm speaking to women over 50, because I'm speaking into a specific societal norm that got imposed upon us. It's what's creating my specific niche. By speaking to that authentically, I'm creating a genuine connection with women who are listening to podcasts and calling me and saying, "You're the one, how much?" I made $20,000 off of one podcast episode recently. You can too. Why? Because I'm speaking authentically. Because I'm showing up and creating relief for other women who know this is part of their path, but they don't know how to get there. But I'm modeling doing it anyway. I'm modeling self-trust. The more I do it, the more I trust myself. Do you know how high my self-trust went? That multiple people hired me and said, "You're the one, how much?" I don't even care what it is. Seriously, this can be you. We got to own our age authentically, because you have perspectives and passions that you need to open up about unapologetically. The most profound thing that we can do for women of 50 and other women over 50, or any woman anywhere, is speak up unapologetically. Even if you're speaking to 30-year-olds or 20-year-olds or 10-year-olds, is to show, to be a model of how a woman speaks up authentically and unapologetically. That's a great service to the world all by itself. Because when you do that, you attracted like-minded people and they resonate and they want to actually support you. And a lot of ways that support shows up is by hiring you. And they want to be on that evolutionary journey with you. And so that leads me to my third thing is about taking that imperfect action. I know you heard this 1,000 times before. Like, why am I talking about it? And I get into a whole thing about it's not good enough and it's not perfect enough if I'm not telling you something new, right? But I'm taking my imperfect action right now and sharing with you that the way that I want to talk about imperfect action is stop wasting your time on non-income generating tasks that get you nowhere. And instead, be willing to release the need for perfection, to forget about the past and all those impositions, even though they weigh heavy on us, is to keep taking off the coat, keep taking off those weights that are on our heart, that we weren't raised at 5-year-old, that it was supposed to be okay to be on camera and be sharing ourselves all across the world, right? Like we don't have that innate gene, you know? As much as I love the stage and the camera, I'm in an improv troupe and my friends think I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's the most fun ever because you're supposed to mess up. It's a good practice, right? And start small. Take baby steps. I'm encouraging all my clients in the Income Accelerator Academy that are like trepidatious about their first post to post it in our group so that inside our group, it's in an insular world where it feels safe, then take it out into the outside world. That's one way to start small when it comes to posting on social media. But this is where our clients are. This is where they expect to find us. This is where they want to hear from us. And so embracing this is better than staying stuck in fear. And too many women, I'm finding, are addicted to being in training, are addicted to being in pods or in smaller groups of women talking about their great work, but not actually putting it into the world and sharing it with anybody. We need way more accountability and way more support about being visible and online and vocal and authentic and being in action than we do to keep talking about our ideas in an insular world where we're going to get cheered on, and we need a little bit of that, but we don't need our entire day devoted to that. Okay, are you picking up what I'm laying down? I have had to break up with a number of my training, and they're amazing women and they're amazing people and they're really cool. I've had to completely remove myself from one particular training container because the energy got so dense of being locked into training. And as a student, I notice about myself, I don't execute when I'm in student mode. And I needed to take my sovereignty back. So I'm encouraging you to look at where you're being consumed energetically that isn't allowing you to be visible and vocal. And I want you to take that action and develop the self-trust by taking the action. All right. So in wrapping up today, I want to say to you that by addressing visibility blocks, you empower yourself and others to step into their full authentic selves. This is how you will get clients. This is how clients are attracted to you because they want to be on that evolutionary journey with you. They like what you're saying. And that by overcome a visibility block, you immediately overcome a money block. You got it? Okay, what are you going to do? What action step are you going to take? Like below, subscribe below, promote, share this to your friends. Go get a group of 3 of you, listen to this, and then be in a working session and go take action. Stop talking about what you're going to do in the next month or year or 5 months and start doing it, okay? Because we've got to overcome the visibility block. It's in front of all the money and the income that you want to make for the rest of your life. I'm Julie Steelman. This is the Prosperous Feminine podcast, and I can't wait to talk to you next week.